Right, so today we're going to talk about your 2025 digital marketing plan, how to maximize your lead flow in the new year. And we want to talk about the biggest marketing trends for 2025. We want to set clear goals. We want to help you realign your marketing strategy and plan your focus for accomplishing those goals, talking about your budget, your channels, important trends, and setting yourself up for massive success in 2025 and beyond. And we do this call every year in December. Um, it's probably the highest attended um, video that we do. And, it's just a great time of year with the holidays going on. Everybody's kind of thinking about next year, but, also looking back on the previous year and enjoying the holidays. And so it's just a great time to take stock, look back, look ahead, make some plans, and get ready to start the new year strong, execute that plan, and have a great and prosperous year. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Excuse me. So, to start things off, just go to our website, pavingmarketers.com/2025 dash planner. Download that and you can work along with it as we go through this presentation here today. And, I hope you find this helpful. So, why should you listen to me? I wrote online marketing for paving companies. We're social members of the National Asphalt Paving Association. I'm the owner of Paving Marketers. And not just paving marketers, but I've been doing this a long time. Still own my generalist old fashioned agency that's been going since 2011. And we've just been doing this a very, very long time. We've done, worked for dozens and dozens and dozens of paving companies. So we know the market very well. Like I said, we work with a ton of them. And, we know how to get results for asphalt and concrete guys. So another thing, go to this web address, go to offers.pavingmarketers.com/get more estimates. You can get a marketing checklist, which I think will be helpful as you take stock and think about the things that you can do more of or do better of, and maybe what you're not doing. There's a digital copy of the book there, which gets into more details about um, how you can do some of these things. There's an industry PPC dashboard and a Paving Marketers University, which is more content around doing all this stuff. And so, without further ado, let's get right into your 2025 digital marketing plan. And so, first, I want to talk about the biggest trends, and far and away, and what you should be paying attention to if you're not yet, is AI. Now, I've got some gray in my beard, and I was a young teenager, maybe not even quite a teenager yet, when the internet really started becoming accessible commercially. I had one of the slow modems, like 300 baud, like as slow as it gets. And so I was on the internet and I watched it, mature as a technology and just to have seen the crazy impact that it's had on our civilization. So not, our daily lives. There was no such thing as social media. There wasn't cell phones. I mean, any of this stuff. There's none of it. It's crazy. And so internet was really a fundamentally transformative technology. And it similarly, AI is going to be the same thing, and maybe more so. Um, because what AI does is it takes all of this data, which the internet has created and accumulated, and now makes it accessible in in a user friendly kind of way, as its present state. But what that does too is enables just crazy things. And I'll give you an example. I wrote a voice bot, trained it on my webinars that I do here, so it sounds like me, gave it, our sales objections and had to make 15,000 phone calls. So it worked. I mean, I talked to people. If that was you and it seemed weird, sorry, that was a robot test. But it set appointments for us. And it's not even good yet. It's not even, it's like the 300 baud modem AI. That's where it's at now. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be transformative. It's going to have major impact on your business in the back end, in how you do things. It's just massive. And so if you're not paying attention to it, start. It's something that I'm going to be talking about at probably every month as I do these videos this year. I'm going to highlight AI. We're building it into our service offerings. It's already there a little bit, but more will be coming. And as these things become relevant to what we do, it will become a part of what we do for our customers, and I'll be talking about it. So I will, if you follow my videos, I will keep you apprised to the extent I can. Okay, so AI, there's not even number two. It's that's so big. Now, other things to bear in mind, keeping keep an eye on as this younger generation becomes more involved in decision making and buying things. We're seeing a shift more towards things like online scheduling. Like they don't just want to pick up the phone and talk about an estimate; they want to set a time for it. They want to be able to WhatsApp you or text you and things like that. So to the extent you can, you want to enable that technology on your website. And what AI is also going to do, and we're already starting to see it, is it's going to let you automate a lot of that with an AI, a robot, and a bot which is trained on your business, which knows the answers that you would give and would handle it for you. And things that I'll be rolling out shortly in our service and I'm testing it right now as I record this. I'm testing these on my own sites. Is an AI chatbot that so instead of just you answering your chats and being on your phone typing and stuff, the AI is trained and does it for you and sends you a summary, or books a call or whatever it needs to be done. And also an AI voice receptionist that is trained on your business, that knows your business, knows the information that you need from your customers to give them estimates, and will take calls for you 24/7. So these things are coming now, and it's crazy, and it's just going to get crazier. So buckle up. So be aware of these things, and then something that I don't really hear people talking about, but I think is definitely true, is as we see more of this AI content, especially video, the AI video content is getting really, really good. Um, People are going to doubt increasingly whether what they see online is real or not. And this is going to be true of websites too. If you have a website that doesn't have you on your team on it, how do they know it's not an AI website? With people who don't even live in the area. Maybe they just rented an address and so they don't know who you are. And so one of the best things you can do for your business is to have pictures and video of you and your team on your site talking about these things, just so people can get to know you and know you're a real person. That's partially why I've been doing these videos for, I mean, I think this is the third year I've done this particular call, this particular video, as my camera gets wacky on me. Um, and what I hear consistently and it blows my mind is people watch this stuff. And thank you for watching this, because if you're hearing that, you're watching it. But when my customers tell me they've watched all my videos, you know, I appreciate that because I'm not making them really so that um to trick people into buying stuff from us. I just want, I know what it is to buy stuff, and if I know who I'm buying from and they make sense to me, I'm more likely to buy stuff from them. So I don't, I like it when people who have watched these videos become customers because they know, I've told them what we do, right? So they have reasonable expectations of the things that we're going to do, and you know that, and so the same is true for you. To you, you do driveways all day long, you do parking lots. It's really nothing to you. This is what you do. But for these customers, this might be a once in 10 years thing, or less, or or more, right? Once in 20 years. So it's a big deal. They don't know you. They don't know. They don't know anything about you. So having videos of you talking about what you do, and how you do it, and why you do it, it will be increasingly powerful as there's just more and more AI content. You know, People will be able to tell, depending on how you do things, that it's you doing these things. So I would say start doing it now. You don't have to be good on camera. I'm not necessarily, I don't think. I don't have scripts. I just talk. You can talk about what you know. People will hear you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it'll let them get to know you. It'll make them comfortable with you. And that's the whole point of it. Sorry for drinking alcohol, but fighting off cold here, if you can't tell. All right. So let's jump right into setting clear goals. Okay. And so I want you to think about what your goals are for 2025. I'm certainly thinking and planning for my various businesses. the objectives that we have. I'm certainly encouraged by the recent election results. I think it means a great thing for our country, for the economics of our country. I certainly go running up to the election, it really seemed like people were kind of concerned and hesitant and not necessarily as willing to invest in things. And it seems like that's loosened up, and people are like, all right, I think we're going to have a good couple of years here. Let's rock. Seeing that, and I expect you'll see that too in this upcoming season as people go back to doing these projects. Okay, so you want to plan for that. We don't have to plan for more crazy things to happen necessarily. We the people who um, are not business favorable necessarily are not in charge of ruining things for a couple of years. So it gives us a good environment to grow our businesses, and we want to adjust to that and plan for that as we move forward. So I'm making aggressive growth goals because I think it's going to be the type of market where I can do that. But I have a goal, and then when I have a goal, I gotta have a plan. Like a goal without a plan is just kind of like a sailboat sitting on the ocean. You're going to go somewhere, but it could be north, it could be west. You're just kind of floating around, right? Whereas if you're clear with your goals and how you're going to get them, that's wind in your sails. You're going to go and you're going to get there. So again, download that planner and let's set some goals. And to set goals, you really have to understand your numbers. Okay, that's fundamental. You need to know what your average monthly revenue is, and now if you're more in the north and you don't do snow plowing and stuff, you're going to have kind of a bell profile, right? Where you get, heavy revenue in like late February through October, November, maybe. And then you're kind of you're not doing much, halfway through November, December, January, into February, right? That's okay. You plan for that, right? But you can start with your average monthly revenue. You can make it more detailed later. And then number of jobs or number of estimates, number of, you know, whatever you call them, that you do per month, right? And then know your other key metrics. What's your average ticket or estimate, right? And granted, it's all over the place with paving, depending on how commercial you are. Those tend to be higher jobs, um, but also there's can be less of them and they're less predictable. So it depends on what your business mix is, what your average ticket or estimate or whatever you call it is. How many crews are you running, your trucks, whatever you want to call them, right? And what percent of your leads do you convert into jobs? So you know your numbers. And if you've never done this before, and if you don't do this throughout the year, there's no better time to start than now. But you really need to know these things to effectively plan for your year, right? And so, just think right now, it's tax time. Talking to my accountant, right? Reviewing the year, how to do this great year from a profitability standpoint. I'd like to have that same conversation next year, but I would like more revenue, more profitability. Okay, how am I going to do that? Well, I think about that now. What does my business look like? What's my annual revenue goal for next year? Well, I have one. Okay, now for me, I don't need to worry about number of crews, but I need to think about staffing, technical people on my team, service people on my team. I know what my numbers are for how many I need to support these various things. And so as I plan my revenue and I kind of sketch out how this year might look, I also have to consider when I would hire and do those things and plan accordingly. So for you, what's your goal? If you did 1 million last year, is 1.5, 2? Are those achievable goals, you think? Could you find the employees to do it? You know, make it a reasonable goal. Like, don't go from 1 to 5 unless you can do it. You can find the people. You've got the budget to spend. You've got the ability to fulfill on that level. Make it an achievable goal, and plan for it. And we have another thing here. If you go to pavingmarketers.com/2025 worksheet, you can play with the numbers a little bit. Say your goal is 1 million, right? Well, then your average monthly revenue's got to be about 83,000 a month. So if your average ticket or estimate project, whatever you want to call it, between residential and commercial works out to 2,500, because you've done the math and you know how many jobs you do per month. The average is 2,500. Well, okay. That means and the language here is generalized, you change the language if you want, but how many, you know, projects would be required to hit your monthly goal if the average project is 2,500? Well, if your monthly goal is 83,000 and your average project is 2,500, you're going to need 33 projects per month. All right. What's your conversion rate on leads? So out of every 100 leads that you get, how many turn into projects? If it's 35%, then in order to get 33 projects, you need 95 leads, right? Sell 35% of those, that gives you 33. Okay, and now if you know what your cost per lead is on pay-per-click, for example, say your average lead is $65, okay? Which if you're tracking this, you'll know what that is. And if you have good functioning campaigns that haven't been wrecked by Google, right? And everything is working more or less as it should be, 65 is a good number. All right, as my camera goes crazy on me again. Um, so if your average cost per generated lead is $65 and you need 95 leads a month to hit your revenue target of $83,000, then that tells you your Google Ads budget needs to be about $6,200, right? So that goes right into your budget because on average, you're going to get enough leads to hit your revenue targets if you're spending that much. Okay. So between the worksheet and the planner, that's the purpose of these two things. So think about that. What's your goal for 2025? How many leads will you need monthly to get there? And how are you going to get those leads? So there's another page on the worksheet that talks about the various ways that you can deploy your budget. Okay. And if your revenue goal is $1 million, the good rule of thumb is that you want to spend about 10% of your gross revenue on marketing. Okay. If that should at least let you hit your revenue projections with a little bit of growth on average. Okay. So that means your average monthly budget is $8,300 a month. Okay, and we just saw if we're just doing PPC, right, you need to spend $6,200 a month on the ad spend, which leaves you about $2,000 a month to spend on other stuff. Maybe it's agency fees to hire an agency like us to help you with that. Okay, and there you go. So now you get more with us for $2,000. You get a lot more, but let's just say that's your budget. Okay, so you pay us $2,000 a month. You get PPC management, you get SEO, you get the social, you get some email management, all these things. You get a ton of stuff for that, right? There's your budget. So you're spending 8,300 bucks a month between agency fees, PPC ad spend. There you go. Problem solved. Now, maybe you get leads from other sources too. Maybe you like to do postcards, which is a great practice. Okay, so you've got some offline marketing. Maybe you do radio. Maybe you do TV. That's all offline marketing. Maybe you try to get repeat business. Maybe you do a database reactivation campaign, which you talk about. Well, that doesn't tend to be expensive, but there's a little bit of cost to that. Maybe there's other ways you can generate repeat business. So you want to think about, how much budget are you spending for online marketing? How much are you spending for, postcards or value packs or whatever, right? Non-digital marketing. And how much are you spending on repeat? How are you breaking that down? If you're only advertising during your season, which some people do, some people, even if they go off season, they keep advertising because people still search. Businesses are still searching right now because they're doing the same thing we're doing, which is, okay, what am I doing next year? Gosh, my parking lot's kind of wrecked. I should probably plan to fix that. Don't really know if I need to, repair it, maybe resurface it. Maybe I need the whole thing replaced. I don't know. I'm going to call a paving company. Well, it's December. If you're not running ads right now, you're not getting that call, right? Or if you're not maintaining your maps position, if you're not doing marketing activities right now, you're missing the business owner who's planning for March, doing a paving project in the spring, but he wants to get that scheduled now, right? So even if you're seasonal, don't necessarily stop your marketing in the off season because commercial stuff still happens. Okay, but you may want to spend less, right? November, December, January, you might want to have a lower spend, which if you're having an average budget, that means you can increase your spend March, April, May, right? So you can offset it and put it in the time of year where you're really filling your calendar for the year, right? So use a tool like this to just think about how your business operates, how you acquire leads, when you should be spending and what, in order to, again, allocate a budget that makes sense in order for you to hit your projected revenue goal. Okay. So once you work those things out, you got to make sure you have the right strategy in place. Okay. And so we're going to go through that next. We're going to try to get into a little bit of practical things, but not too much because I got videos and webinars covering all this other stuff too. So we'll keep it high level. All right. And in all these webinars, we talk about the accelerated growth model. Okay. What is that? Well, we've been talking a lot about driving leads. Okay. If you don't drive leads, you don't get new customers. If you don't get new customers, you don't have a business. So this is the lifeblood of the business. But if you only do that, you're not doing everything you could do. You're leaving money and customers on the table because you're not really exercising the full ecosystem of what you should be doing. Because when you drive enough leads, you also need to focus on maximizing the conversions. For every dollar you spend, getting more leads out of it. How do you do that? Well, there's a way. Okay. And so when you're driving leads and you're working on maximizing conversions, now you have more data. And with that data, it allows you to optimize results. Which channels are working well? Which aren't working so well? What can we do to make them better, to drive more leads? Okay. So it all works together in kind of a virtuous circle of getting better results over time. Okay, so that's the accelerated growth model. And let's dig into some specifics. So we'll start with organic SEO. If you've been on the internet for the last, you know, 10, 15 years, you know what organic SEO is. There's 85 million websites talking about it. And really we've seen it decline a little bit over time as Google has really put a stranglehold on the ecosystem and has really driven things in a paid direction. Everybody's going to paid ads. Even maps are somewhat paid. But one of the things that's happening with AI, and which is a great thing, is it's so far, and hopefully this continues, is it's a little bit breaking Google's stranglehold on the search marketplace. And they lost in court. They're a monopoly. They're going to get a little bit broken up. All this is great news because Google is a terrible company, terrible people who are it's an awful, awful company. And they're a monopoly and they should be crushed because they use it to make you pay more for worse results that are steered in woke directions, and everybody knows that's true. And so you get garbage results, you pay more for them, and they have no incentive to provide support. So good luck getting anybody on the phone at Google when your business profile is suspended. You can't, and you know it. The only people that you ever hear from Google are third-party contractors using Google email addresses that tell you they're your Google rep that give you horrible advice on your ads. Please don't ever listen to them. We tell our customers, Google is going to reach out to you and tell you that they're your Google rep, and they're going to tell you how to run their ads. And all they're going to do is spend more money and get you less results. And people don't listen to us. But that's what happens. So fortunately, because they're so awful, they have a reckoning coming, and they're going to get broken up a little bit. They're going to have less of a stranglehold on the market. And what that means is that organic SEO will become more important again. Not so much with Google, but with these competitors that are showing up now. Bing is showing some signs of life. There's a new entrant that the Silicon Valley people use called Perplexity, which is like an AI search engine, right? And OpenAI or ChatGPT, which is the most prominently well-known AI company, has released their own version of search. Okay, and the way that these AIs basically work, they're large language models. What does that mean? They're all trained on the internet, and then they put handcuffs on them and don't let them talk about certain things. Like you can't tell jokes about some things, but you can about other things. You all know what I'm talking about. But at root, it's really just a snapshot of the internet. And so if someone asks about paving in your city, if your website is optimized to talk about paving in your city, it should find you and talk about you. And so that's organic SEO, right? That has been less important because Google has just pushed that stuff down so that you see half a page of ads and a map. And don't get me wrong, the maps are great. But it used to be you'd fight and fight and fight and fight for those organic results because that's where the traffic came from. Google has wrecked that, and AIs are bringing that back. And so this is becoming very important again. I don't hear people talking about this, but mark my words, we are going to see more and more and more and more leads coming from organic, coming from non Google sources. Okay. And if we look at our own results for paving companies, last time we did kind of a snapshot, 20% of leads were coming from organic SEO. And I think this is going to go up over time. So, but it's already important, but watch this increase over the next couple of years. That's what I think is going to happen. Okay. So that brings me to paid, which was, I think, about 34% or 30%, 28%. I was close. Roughly a third, a little bit less than a third of leads come from paid ads. Now, Google has always been the king here. You want to run Google, but I would encourage you to think outside Google. Because what we've seen in our own testing is there are other great places to get leads. If you want to target commercial leads for paving, Facebook lead ads is an excellent source of leads if done correctly. And you got to do it the right way. Nextdoor can be a great source of more residential leads. But so it's not just Google anymore, and even I think Bing is going to become more important again as Google loses some of its browser monopoly and it's forced to divest things. I think we're going to see more from Bing. So this is all great news because the more competition there is in search, the less of on average, cost per lead there is for you, which means you can get more leads for the same cost and they'll be more profitable, which is fantastic. Right? So this is all great news. All right. So just one brief practical point. I don't want to get too much into the weeds here because I got webinars covering all this stuff, which you can go watch, and I'll do them again this year. But don't just dump your commercial and residential stuff into one campaign. Have separate campaigns for separate objectives. And really, even more than that, I'd say if you haven't done Nextdoor or Facebook, now's the time. Get in there and do it. Nextdoor is growing quickly, especially with younger generations. I don't know why I was on it. It was dumb. It was just a bunch of people complaining about their neighbors. I thought it was stupid. But apparently people get leads from it. And I'm of the view that if the platform sends leads to my customers, then I like that platform and we're gonna recommend it and we're gonna help our customers do it. So I don't care how dumb it is. If there's leads there, we're gonna go get them. That's what I think. Um, and again, paid should be, especially in paving, because you can get such high ticket jobs from it, a very high ROI activity if you do it right. And it all hinges upon if you do it right. Don't do this yourself. It it changes constantly. They roll out changes all the time. It's really annoying. And when they roll out the changes, they don't work well. Like when the newer one is PMAX, and when they rolled out PMAX, it was garbage. And more recently, my team is telling me, hey, PMAX is actually really good now. And so now we can use PMAX. But 6 months ago, you couldn't really use PMAX because it didn't work well. If you don't know what PMAX is, you shouldn't be running Google Ads by yourself. Okay? So hire us, hire somebody. It doesn't matter. Just you're not going to see the same return. You're going to say Google Ads don't work, and they do, but they only work if you know what you're doing. And unless you have someone in house that knows how to do it, no, hire somebody to help. Preferably somebody that knows how to run Google Ads for paving companies. Okay. And again, like I mentioned, this shouldn't say SEO. It should say Google Ads. So I'm going to hide that. 28% of leads in our portfolio when we measured over this time period come from Google Ads. Okay. Now, I can talk about it here, but a third of leads and most leads come from maps. But the thing that you can do about maps, I'm going to talk about in maximize conversions. So I'm going to skip it right now, and we're going to talk about another thing which I don't talk about a lot, which is database reactivation. What the heck is database reactivation? Well, I'm glad that you asked. If you've been doing business for a long time, you have a list of customers. Okay? This is especially so with commercial because residential customers, once you do their driveway, what are you going to sell them? That's worth rolling a crew out, right? Nothing. So for you, this is really commercial focused. And this isn't cold email. That's a whole different animal, which I highly recommend, which we're going to start including in our plans. Um, but if you have commercial customers, it makes sense to email them quarterly, monthly maybe, and every now and then put an offer in there. Hey, we're running a special, 5% off seal coating project if you book it this month. Whatever. But it can have huge results if you have a big customer list. So say you've been around forever, you got multiple locations, you emailed 5,000 customers, 3,000 replies, sorry, 300 replies, 119 book jobs. They've completed 24 of those jobs for 84,000 in revenue. Now, granted, bigger company, bigger list, but there's money to be made in a database reactivation campaign. Okay, generate leads, and there's no ad spend here. You already had this email list. You already have these customers that worked with you before. You're just saying, hey, got a project you need? We'd love to help you with that. That's all it is. Okay, so pause here, stoplight. Think about how you're doing on these and rate yourself. How are you doing on organic, maps? How are you doing on paid? Are you running paid ads? Are you doing it yourself? Stop that. Do you have a database of leads that you could run a reactivation campaign? All things to consider. But score yourself on that and look for opportunities where you can do something new or you can improve. Okay. Now let's talk about maximizing conversions. And I have whole webinars on this. I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds here. This all, we can optimize landing pages. We can optimize ad copy. We can optimize Facebook lead forms. We can do all those things. The number one thing you need to optimize for conversion is your website. It's got to be new-ish, or I should say up to date. You don't need a new website every year, but keep it up to date. It should have the things that people want to do where they expect them. Logo in the upper left, form above the fold on the right, click to call or contact us, get quote in the upper right, chat in the lower right, right? You've seen a million websites, they all look the same. Well, the reason they all look the same is because people expect to find things in certain places. And if they don't find them there, they don't convert the same way. It hurts you. So just copy everybody else because that's what people expect. Might be boring, but it works, right? We're not trying to win design prizes here. We're trying to get customers. So the only other thing I will highlight here, and you can read all this if you really want to, just pause the video. But as I mentioned earlier, get photos of yourself and your team. I don't care how photogenic you think you are or not. Nobody cares. Get yourself on your site. Get your team on your site. If you don't want to put yourself on, fine, whatever. Put your team on there. Show your work, show your people. People like dealing with real people. It will help you convert better. Okay? As far as the details, I don't want to go through all these, but get your forms in the right spots. Have your landing pages be good. Show examples of your work. Show videos. People love videos. Social proof is even better. Have your forms where people expect them. Have a click to call in an easy place. Show your social proof again. Phone numbers, because people do still like to call, but get those chatbots in there. And we do it too. In fact, like I said, I'm testing AI chat. I think I said that. I said on one of these. I'm actively building and testing AI tools. I'm going to be rolling these out for our customers in 2025, Q1. They're coming. All right. Now, I said I'm going to talk about maps, and I'm going to do that now as I talk about reputation. Now, there's 8 million different services that you can purchase for this. The main thing is just ask for reviews. Ask for reviews. They make a huge, huge difference. People are going to pick you on the maps based on the number of your reviews. So all you need to do is get more of them. And it's good to send, ask every customer every time. But the best thing you can do, and nobody's doing this, nobody I tell to do this is doing this, but I'm telling you right now, you'll get the best results doing this, is have someone on your team, after each project, call the customer. Hey, how'd it go? Did we do a good job? Are you satisfied with the work? Is there anything could have done better? Just, and then thank them. Hey, thanks for choosing us. Really appreciate your business. And you know what? If you're willing, it would help us out a ton if you could leave us a review. I'll send you a link over. We'd really appreciate it from you. We really appreciate your business. We'd love to get your review. It would help us out a ton if you did a great job for you. If you can take a second to leave us a review, it'd be great. It'd be helpful. That's it. Just do it. It's hard to do, but any business where you're competing on maps for customers, the more reviews you can drive, the more of that market share you're going to get. It's really, we can play all the games we want with the maps and we do our best, but nothing is going to do better and nothing is going to make what we do to get better mass position better than you getting more reviews. It's like gasoline on the fire. That's what it is. All right. Last thing I want to talk about here on conversions is automation. And it's not always lead flow. Lead flow. Sometimes we'll drive a lot of leads for people, and they say they're not getting jobs. Well, what's happening? What's happening is they're not answering their phones. They're not answering their web forms. It blows my mind. And this isn't really my customers because we test this and make sure deliverability. But it blows my mind how many local businesses that I need to contact for whatever purpose. These aren't cheap things necessarily, and they never answer the web forms. I'll send 2 or 3 web forms. They never ever call me. It blows my mind. Don't do that. It's awful. In 2024 going on 2025, your web forms should work. If they don't, find someone who will make them work for you. You'll lose tons of business. Okay. Excuse me. So the problem is a lot of your inbound traffic leaves unconverted. A lot of your leads don't convert. A lot of your web forms aren't answered. And so what do? Automate. Because here's what's happening. And this is especially true if you're an owner operator and you're out there paving and you can't answer your calls necessarily right away or respond to web inquiries. You're losing leads to people who can. You're losing leads to people who have their estimator take the calls, right? Now, we're rolling out solutions where we're going to have AI chat, which can capture this information for you, and an AI receptionist who will ask these questions, will record the information, let the customer know, hey, we'll call you back, but we're working on it for you. And then that stuff comes to you in our platform Revenue Commander. Okay. This is important because at the same time they're reaching out to you, they're reaching out typically to 3 or 4 other people to get quotes. And the people who answer quickly and are responsive and get back to them have a much higher probability of winning those deals. Okay. And even then, when the projects are done or the estimates are out, again, they're comparing quotes. You got to follow up a couple times. They might get busy with other things. And just to check in, like, hey, made this estimate. Did it look good? Was there anything we need to change? Did you have questions? Is this still a project you're thinking about? When might you be thinking about doing it? Would you like me to follow up with you then? Just follow up on these things. The best, the biggest companies in these spaces do these things very, very well. And the best thing you can do if you're not don't have any automation going on and you're kind of on the growing path is to get that automation in place so you can compete with those guys. Very, very important. Okay, so like I said, leverage marketing automation. And you can build crazy things like this. We have some crazy ones, especially for reviews that we built out in Revenue Commander, which is what I use and what we use for our customers. And if you do calls with us, the calendar connects to Revenue Commander. The follow-up sequence comes from Revenue Commander. We track the communication in Revenue Commander. It's all in there. Okay, and if you're watching this, chances are, unless you came to it from an ad, you were directed to this video by our automations in Revenue Commander. It works for us. In its own way, it will work for you. Okay, so pause again. How are you doing on these things? What might you do better? What aren't you doing that you could implement? Think about that. Excuse me. All right, let's get into optimized results. This one's a little quicker. So again, when you think about your total spend, there's really 3 buckets you can fall into here, which is, less than 5%, you're not really doing anything, you're treading water. 6 to 15% of your total revenue is going to get you some moderate growth, and 15 to 20% or more is going to get accelerated growth, assuming you have the operational capacity to execute it. It doesn't make sense to spend 20% of your revenue on growth if you don't have the crews to fulfill it, right? So the average customer, average company, 10% is a good spot. You've got more capacity on your crew. You're not fully booked, right? But you want to grow. You can get more revenue out of your crew. 10% is a good, safe planning number. Unless you've got multiple crews, you want to staff up ready to rock, you can get the employees and you know it, go for it. Spend more. But everybody should spend 10%, at least. Okay. Next thing you want to optimize is your cost per lead. Again, go back to the worksheet, but you can start breaking down your cost per lead by source. If you're running ads for residential and commercial, and maybe even municipal. I mean, I know that's not really how municipal works, but sometimes some of the, if there's requests for quotes or requests for bids, Some of the smaller ones might make invites if they're not running off the state stuff. Again, it's different all over the place, as you know. But there may be a cost per lead. Maybe you have an estimator dedicated to, watching for these things and doing RFQs and things for municipal projects. Well, there is a cost for those leads, in a sense, if you want to invest in them. So understand what your cost per lead is by the source, and then you can optimize that. How do I get a lower cost per lead on residential? What platforms? My cost per lead for commercial on Facebook is 30. On PPC, it's 65. Why is that different? Well, you also have to look at your cost per sale. So the Facebook leads might not be as warmed up, and your actual cost per sale might be about the same. Or your cost per sale on PPC might be lower. But you still want those Facebook leads because you need more leads. You have the capacity for it. So the more that you look at your cost per lead, your cost per sale, lifetime customer value, understanding these metrics in your business allows you to assess the data, assess your results, and make adjustments based on what you're seeing and make improvements based on what you're seeing in the data. Okay. And ultimately getting a better sense of your ROI. So, half your advertising spend is wasted. Trouble is you don't know which half, right? If you don't know your numbers, you don't know where you're wasting money, where you could be improving things and getting better results. So, have Google Analytics in place, track your keywords, consider call tracking. There is a cost to it. It's not a lot, but it really unlocks a lot of really critical analytics for you. You know which leads come from maps, and Google's shutting down call tracking for maps, which is super annoying, and messaging. So here they go again, ruining things. That's what they love to do. But you can still track maps leads if you have call tracking going on. Okay. So having call tracking on your website, all roads lead to your website, one form or another, the paid search, the maps, all these things ultimately lead to your site. By having tracking numbers in place, you can track these things and understand which sources, web, maps, email, which things give you leads and what your cost per leads are, right? So you want to make sure you have these tools in place to do this. Okay, so consider, how are you doing on optimizing? Are you spending enough? Are you tracking your cost per leads and understanding them, working on improving them? And what's your return on investment? Are you taking those leads and tracking them to projects and understanding, okay, well, I spent 5,000 on these leads, but I made $150,000 in revenue at a net profit of 15%. I have a great ROI. That's good. That was money well spent, right? So we've gone through the key parts here. The takeaways are, what do you need to focus on most? Are you not running paid ads? Are you not doing any marketing automation? Think about what you might be lacking and plan what you want to focus on for next year and put it in your budget. So think about where you want to invest and where maybe you haven't invested before. Maybe you want to try postcards this year. Maybe you've never done Facebook ads, but it's time to try it. Get that stuff in your budget and think it through. Okay. Lay out a marketing calendar. When, a lot of businesses are thinking about their spring plans now. You should be talking to, messaging to commercial businesses now about parking maintenance, for the spring, because they might be allocating budget for those projects right now, so in the fall, in wintertime. Right? So get those messages in front of them now. All right. So we've covered the marketing trends you want to watch out for, AI, setting clear goals and why you do it, realigning your marketing strategy to those goals and thinking about things you might be missing that you should start, and then making a plan to focus what budget, the channels you want to invest in, considering the trends going on, to set yourself up for massive success in 2025. So put down your top 3 action items. What are you walk away from this call? What are you going to do? What 3 things are you going to take action on? Are you doing paid ads? Are you doing Nextdoor? Does it make sense to do Nextdoor? Are you doing Facebook lead ads? Are you doing any kind of marketing automation? Do you have a list of customers? How old is it? Have you ever used it? What could you add to what you're doing to consider in your plan for 2025? Okay. And if you want some help, give us a call. Go to pavingmarketers.com/apply now or give us a call. And we'll put together a market report for you. So we'll look at how you're doing in the maps. We'll look at what's going on in Google Ads. We'll look at how you're ranking, what your competitors are doing, and just basically what does your market look like? Where do we see an opportunity for you to improve? Well, we can talk with you about what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you might maybe should add to your plan, so that as you go into 2025 and as you start executing that plan going through the year, you will get the results that you're planning to get. Okay. And that comes from planning, and we're happy to help you with that process. Just schedule the call with us. And if you do so, and if you go to pavingmarketers.com/apply now, you will get to experience our marketing automation. So you'll interact with a calendar, and that calendar is in Revenue Commander. And you'll schedule a call, fill out a form which gives us some information. That call being scheduled will kick off some automations, and you'll get some emails. And you'll get some emails requesting some more information from you. And that additional information will help us put together a better presentation for you. And that presentation is going to help you, again, look at your market, make a good plan, get the best results possible. So if you want to see how we do it, schedule a call with us. We'd be happy to walk you through it and show you what needs to be done in your own business, and we're happy to do that. So again, if you want to do that for your business, give us a call or schedule a call at pavingmarketers.com/apply now. So I hope this was a valuable use of your time. I hope it got you thinking about some things that you could be doing for 2025. I hope that you download the planner and you work through it and you just have a plan. It's one of the best things that you can do for your business. Have a plan, execute that plan, and go from there. So get the planner, get the worksheet, go through this video with it, think through these things, schedule a call with us if you'd like some help. And, I hope that you schedule a call with us soon. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. I hope that your planning goes well. I hope your 2025 is fantastic. And you watch this video a year from now, looking back on how successful your planning was in 2025, ready to do it all again in 2026. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas if you're watching this on the first run. And if you're watching next year, well, I hope you had a great holidays. And we'll talk to you next time.